Hello everybody and welcome to my Rogue Combat Guide for patch 6.2. This guide is intended to teach you the basics and advanced strategies about this spec. Let's start by taking a look at all our DPS related skills and mechanics. Builders. Ambush. 15 energy and 2 combo points. Ambush is our default builder from Stealth. It generates 2 combo points for 15 energy when the Shadow Focus talent is chosen. It costs 60 energy otherwise. It deals moderate physical damage. It is optimal to use it at 3 combo points to circumvent Spill from Sinister Strike. Corrode, 45 energy, 1 combo point. Deals low bleed damage and applies a 3-second silence. Only ever used for the silencer's combat, but no real PvE application in Warlords. Revealing Strike, 40 energy, 1 combo point. Revealing Strike deals moderate physical damage and applies a debuff of the same name for 24 seconds. That increases the effectiveness of Eviscerate and Kidney Shot by 35%. Also, it grants Sinister Strike a 25% chance to gain an extra combo point. Sinister Strike, 50 energy, 1 to 2 combo points. Sinister Strike is our main filler spell, as it does more damage per energy than Revealing Strike, and on top generates 1.25 combo points on average per cast. Sinister Strike moves the Bandit Skull cycle forward. In general, avoid using without having applied Revealing Strike first. Marked for Death, free and up to 5 combo points. This spell's base cooldown is 60 seconds. However, when its target dies, the cooldown resets. Therefore, it can be used more often than once per minute. Regardless of this reset mechanic, it is stronger than Anticipation. Should be saved for quickly dying adds. Actual gain varies. The realistic maximum gain per cast is combat is 4 combo points due to Ruthlessness. But it is still better to use it for 1 free combo point than not using it at all if adds die very quickly. Next up, finishers. Eviscerate, 35 energy, 10 after Relentless Strikes. Eviscerate is a physical damage finisher that is used when Slice and Dice does not need refreshing. Slice and Dice, 25 energy, free after Relentless Strikes. Slice and Dice is a simple maintenance buff that increases our attack speed by 40%. It lasts 36 seconds and may be refreshed at 10.8 seconds or less. When Slice and Dice remains longer than Deep Insight, you should refresh it during No Insight. Crimson Tempest, 35 energy, 10 after Relentless Strikes. Crimson Tempest bites the dust compared to Blade Flurry plus Eviscerate, so yeah, that skill, rip. Next up, cooldowns. Killing Spree, 2-minute cooldown. Effective cooldown, 53 seconds. For 3 seconds you teleport every 0.5 second to an enemy you had in a 10-yard range while pressing the button and deal physical damage to them. Should be used before Adrenaline Rush and with low energy if possible. Should be used on cooldown. Avoid using it during Adrenaline Rush. Consider using Cloak of Shadows to not die. Benefits from Restless Blades. Adrenaline Rush, 3-minute cooldown. Effective cooldown, about 73 seconds. Greatly increases energy regeneration and increases auto attack speed by 20% and lowers global cooldown down to 0.8 seconds. Should be used on cooldown. Benefits from Restless Blades. Blade Flurry, 10 seconds cooldown. When active, you hit enemies around you for 35% of normal damage, but your energy regeneration is reduced by 20%. Already turn this on for 2-target AoE or more. Turn off for a single target. Vanish, 1-minute cooldown when glyphed, 2-minute base without glyph. Often used on cooldown for 1 cheap ambush cast. Preparation, 5-minute cooldown. Instantly resets Vanish cooldown. Should be used early so you can get a second usage on some fights, unless you need the reset for your defensive spells. Buffs, debuffs and mechanics. Bandit Skull. This is a cycling buff with 4 stages. 0%, 10%, 20% and 50% damage increase. Every stage lasts 15 seconds and can be refreshed by a Sinister Strike, with the exception of the 50% stage. The last stage lasts 15 seconds regardless. To enter the next stage, you have to cast Sinister Strike 4 times. Sometimes it can be worth it to control this buff by delaying the final stage for heavy AoE phases. Ruthlessness. For every combo point spent on an offensive finisher, you reduce the cooldown on Killing Spree and Adrenaline Rush by 2 seconds, up to 10 seconds in total for a 5 combo point finisher. Additionally, for each combo point used on a finisher, you have a 20% chance to instantly gain a combo point. Since you are supposed to use finishers at 5 combo points, you always profit from this. I will refer to the cooldown reduction of Ruthlessness as Restless Blades, since that is the original name of that mechanic, in order to not confuse it with the combo point refund portion of the skill. Mastery Main Gauche. Your main hand attacks have a chance to trigger an attack for 140% offhand damage. This effect makes you wear slow weapons in your offhand. Alright, next up we have the random fight sequence and comments on that. The fight showcase will have 2 parts, one short fight on a dummy and a heroic Zulu Horak kill in order to highlight marked for death usage. I will start off with a static dummy fight. On top of the pull timer I added 2 add wave timers, which you oftentimes have on add encounters. We tried to line up our cooldowns and deep insight with these. I used the legendary ring on pull, as most people will probably do that, and it will somewhat line up with a second imaginary add wave. I also used killing spree, as it should be ready for the first add wave again, but I don't use adrenaline rush as the effective cooldown is 73 seconds and therefore it won't be ready for the first add wave. However, it won't be ready for the second add wave either, but I just assume here that the first one is more important. In order to not enter deep insight prematurely, I start substituting Sinister Strike with Revealing Strike. I cast one Sinister Strike in order to refresh the duration to not let it drop. Once the imaginary adds reach the imaginary tank, I toggle on Blade Flurry. I use Killing Spree here during Adrenaline Rush because the duration is still long, my energy is almost empty, and Blade Flurry's energy penalty won't let me cap too hard if at all. Note the ambush at exactly 3 combo points. During a soul capacitor proc, Bandit Skull Helper stops counting, so I have to do that myself. In order to not enter deep insight prematurely, I start substituting Sinister Strike with Revealing Strike. I cast one Sinister Strike in order to refresh the duration to not let it drop. Note how I hold my 5 combo points and wait for Killing Spree in order to not let the 10 seconds cooldown reduction of Restless Blades go to waste. Only do this without capping energy though. Let's take a second here to talk about our marked for death usage expectations. Each wave of imps consists of 3 imps. Getting 1 marked for death cast off on them is okay, 2 is good and 3 is lucky most of the time. Alright, enough of the target dummy. Next up is the Zulu Horak video. First off, combat on that fight can be extremely hectic. You're not required to play perfectly, you are required to play as good as you can to optimize marked for death. I use all my cooldowns on pull, as you are not required to finish the imps within a fixed amount of time. On Mythic you might have more or less time depending on the amount of control your composition has. Before using marked for death I try to be at a low amount of combo points and I wait a bit until I can estimate which of the imps will die first. Random touch of death usage from fellow monks can throw a spanner in the works though. Don't mind the fire stacks, I didn't either. In all seriousness though, there should not be fire, but I could have avoided a couple stacks. Here I waited a bit for the mask grip, which didn't come. In that situation, the imp right under the boss is usually the first one to die, so I went for that one. So what happens next is that I failed Killing Spree. The boss was apparently in my 10-yard range when I hit the button, and I teleported back and forth until I outranged one of them, so I just missed out on Killing Spree hits.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Again no grip from the DKs, therefore I marked the imp underneath the boss. Additionally, the ranged ads started spawning. They can also be marked for death. However, they tend to die more slowly and are sometimes out of range. They can be a bonus, as long as they don't mess up your marked for death usage on imps by not dying in time.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That gorgeous marked for death usage. So beautiful. Okay, shut up already. There is no further commentary on this boss. Feel free to watch until the end or skip ahead to the tips and tricks section.
I see it! I can see the end!
Tips and tricks. Since we are playing without anticipation, our combo point cap is at 5. If you use Sinister Strike at 4, you waste on average 0.25 combo points. Well, first off, it's not that big of a deal, and secondly, we can sometimes play around this by trying to only refresh Revealing Strike at 4 combo points, or use Ambush at 3 to circumvent Overflow. There is an 81.25% chance to land on 3 combo points, assuming you start with 1 combo point. Even Combat Rogue can play with energy pooling. You can pool energy at the end of Deep Insight, so that you move 2 Sinister Strikes into No Insight to reduce the time spent there. But don't cap on energy, and don't move Eviscerate into No Insight. You can also pool before using Revealing Strike to reduce the overall amount you cast the spell, and therefore move energy spent into the more efficient Sinister Strike. If you want to use Killing Spree on one target only, but still cleave on the other ads around you, you can outrange the other ads. That way Killing Spree will only hit your main target. Also, Killing Spree can be cancelled through /cancel aura Killing Spree. Combat is a lot about cooldown management. You have to evaluate when it's best to use them and when to hold. Try to figure this out after a couple of attempts. What works one week might no longer the next due to more raid DPS and the dynamic nature of our cooldowns. On Iskar and Mythic Manoroth, it's worth it to hold for AoE. That does not mean don't use your cooldowns at all, it means have them ready for specific events as well as Deep Insight. Get an add-on for insight management. I recommend Bandit Skull Helper for that, but other solutions also exist. When you don't want to push into red, you can start using Revealing Strike instead of Sinister Strike at yellow 2, which is 2 Sinister Strikes into moderate insight. Having several marked for death keybinds makes it easier to use. I have one for the current target, one for mouse over, and one for quickly dying ads. Your frequently used keybinds should be easy to press. This might seem obvious, but people often add newly learned spells wherever they have space left on their action bars. Use a spreadsheet to reorganize your keybinds. Alright, so this one's not really a tip, but more my opinion on combat. Combat is a fight in itself about when to use cooldowns and when not to use them, as several mechanics struggle to fight against each other. Bandit's Guile versus Restless Blades versus Adwaves. Cooldown mismanagement can ripple through the encounter and lower DPS significantly. Common mistakes. Not having cooldowns up for when you need them. Low uptime on Slice and Dice. Slice and Dice is your most important finisher. You can refresh it at 10.8 seconds or less. Make sure to never let it drop. Using finishers with less than 5 combo points. For each combo point spent on a finisher, you have a 20% chance to get 25 energy and 1 combo point refunded, both on a separate roll, adding to 100% on both rolls at 5 combo points. A finisher at 4 combo points only has a chance of 64% to grant you 1 combo point. Waiting for Deep Insight to use cooldowns. While plus 50% seems juicy, Restless Blades as a mechanic is just stronger, so unless you know you won't miss out on a cooldown usage, don't do it. Waiting for ad phases to line everything up is fine though. Not having cooldowns up for when you need them. Yes, it's that important. Gearing. There are best in slot lists available, and they are useful to a certain extent, but you shouldn't pass up on upgrades along the way to best in slot. A Warforged item might be better than a regular best in slot item. How do you find that out though? For a highly accurate result, you can check out Shadowcraft and use it for comparison. Or, for quick and pretty accurate estimates, you can use the in-game add-on Pawn with customized stat values. My pawn values can also be found in the Google Docs linked in the description. In order to import them, copy them first, then open Pawn in-game, go to Scale, and then use Import. For single target, haste is the best stat. However, the more targets enter the fight, the better multi-strike becomes. This favors going for multi-strike, as it is the best stat for combat AoE and subtlety single target. A question I get often is, do you use a dagger for cleaving? And the answer is it depends. You only want to use a dagger for prolonged cleaving as you lose weapon enchant uptime and some weapon swings for each time you switch. Hellfire Assault, yes. Iskar adds, yes. Zulu Horak, yes. Manoroth, no. Another question is, how many weapons do I need? And I recommend 3, 2 slow and 1 fast weapon. Enchant one of the slow weapons with Warsong and the other 2 with Frostwolf. You can also have an optional 3rd slow weapon with Warsong for a total of 4 weapons. Trinkets. For trinket comparison, there is a Simcraft results thread on MMO Champion, which I will also link in the description. In general, Soul Capacitor is more flexible, while Mirror of the Blade Master is more reliable. Go with whatever you feel is more suited for you. Now let's take a look at glyphs and talents. Glyph of Energy is a straight up DPS increase, and so is Glyph of Disappearance when used with Shadow Focus. Glyph of Deadly Momentum can be a DPS increase if you happen to do the Killing Blow on an ad. Glyph of Evasion is useful for Kill Rock visions. Talent, Tier 15 Shadow Focus, Tier 90 Marked for Death, Tier 100 Venom Rush. This concludes my 6.2 Combat PvE guide. Leave comments and suggestions below, and if you found this guide helpful, leave a thumbs up. You can also visit me on my Twitch channel and ask me questions or just hang out. It's twitch.com/Rylix_TV. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more rogue content.